Hi, my name is Ashley Martin, and I have been a rep with Agnes Dora clothing company for a little over a year. And one of the primary ways that I have built my business is through vendor events. So I wanted to put together a little bit of training for folks in my company and then outside of my company as well, with some helpful tips on how to have a successful vendor event. And I will tell you, I wish I had taken a public speaking class in college. So I do have notes in front of me just in case I stumble. So if you see me looking down, you'll know why. And I want to give you a little bit of background information about myself. So prior to Agnes Dora, I have 10 years of experience in the direct sales industry, starting when I was a college student, on and off, selling various things, jewelry, skincare, whatever. Before I had discovered Agnes Dora, I was actually on track to become a sales director with a very large, very well-known direct sales company, but found Agnes Dora and fell in love and decided that this is where I belong. So when I first discovered Agnes Dora, my thought was that I would focus primarily on social media to build and grow my business, because I felt that was a great way for me to be able to stay home with my daughters and, just have this cottage industry at home. But I quickly discovered, because at the time there were only about 1,000 reps in our company in the US and Canada, I quickly discovered that the audience on social media who was already familiar with the brand of Agnes Dora had their go-to rep that they primarily ordered from. And so I had to think of a strategy to build my audience and come up with a way to be their go-to rep. So I found that I didn't want to be spammy on social media and bombard my friends and add them to groups without their permission and run contests where you add your friends to my group without their permission, just to build an audience. So I decided that I would focus on vendor events. And I started my Agnes Dora journey in September of 2016 and had a couple of vendor events throughout the remainder of 2016. But in 2017, I focused heavily on vendor events, especially the second half of the year, and had 28 different vendor events. And here's kind of my tips and what I have learned along the way. First of all, why do I love vendor events? I love vendor events because it gets new eyes on my inventory. If I have a skirt that's been on my shelf for a while and my regular loyal customers just aren't biting, there's a pretty good chance that I could take it to a vendor event and it is new to those customers, and they don't know that I've had that on my shelf for a couple of months. It's all new to them. So they're more likely to buy some of that inventory that I've had on my shelf for a while. I also love the fact that people get to touch and feel the fabrics and try on items. And I find that as women, we tend to build an emotional connection to the things that we purchase that way. And it just gives people an opportunity to feel and see the quality of our products and know that not only does it fit well, but that they are getting a really good quality product. And I just love seeing somebody pop out of the dressing room with a new outfit on that just brightens their day and makes them feel strong and confident and powerful. I love that. I also love being able to build relationships with people. You get to know them a lot better than you can via social media. So you get to know their tastes really well, and you get to know their personality, and they get to know you, and they can see that you're not just some nameless, faceless online website, that you are an actual person behind that brand, and they get to know the person who is curating the boutique and who is packaging the orders and mailing their orders and writing those thank you notes. They get to know that person, and I find that really helps build loyalty. I also like the fact that a vendor event is very unlikely to cancel. I love hostesses, but they're not, unfortunately, always reliable. And so sometimes you will have those last minute cancellations because they didn't hold up their end of the bargain and invite people. And a bad vendor event sometimes is better than a good party for me anyway, personally. And if you're one of my previous hostesses who's watching this, I love you. And if you've hosted a party for me, I know it's a lot of work and I appreciate that. But I know that I can book a vendor event 4, 5, 6 months, 9 months in advance, and I have it on my calendar, and there's just a little bit of ease that comes from knowing, okay, my September is booked, and I have a way to build revenue in September because it's booked already. And I also like going to these events to be able to network with other vendors. Some of those connections are absolutely priceless. So even events where I have had low sales or there hasn't been a lot of foot traffic, I have built some amazing relationships with other vendors. So that just takes me to, how do I find these events? And one of them is through other vendors. So if you don't have a lot of vendor events on your books now and you would like to, maybe go to an event and network with those vendors there as a customer and let them know you have your own business and hand out their business card. And but if you're at an event as a vendor, again, do the same thing. Give them your business card. Ask them what events they've got coming up. You know, I like to talk especially to non-competing brands and say, well, what events are you going to in the near future that you think are awesome? Like who should I be reaching out to? What events should I be attending? Especially if it's something that's in the similar market as my clothing product. I will reach out to the jewelry girls and say, hey, you know, or the makeup or the cosmetics, things that appeal to a similar customer base, and say, what are the events that you attend that you really think would be good for me and my business? And then also check Facebook, because there are a lot of local groups where you can connect with other vendors and they share events and things like that. So find your local marketing groups on Facebook where vendor events and craft shows and things like that are promoted. And the last thing is just plan your own. If you don't see anything coming up that fits into your schedule, maybe you can't do weekends when vendor events are primarily held, or you can't do them outside of your home, whatever the case may be. Team up with your friends who sell jewelry, who sell nail wraps, who make homemade soaps, and plan your own event and market it together and cross market. And that can be a great resource for you. And it can a lot of times be a really cost-effective way to participate in an event. So once you've signed up for your event, there are a couple of questions that I always ask the person who is planning the event, or before I send in my contract and when I'm making the decision. And the first thing I ask is, have you ever held this event before? And first-time events can be good, but a lot of times it's a little bit rocky, especially if they have never planned a vendor event before. If they have held the event before, I ask, okay, great, what has attendance been like in the past, and what percentage of your vendors from last year are returning this year? If their vendors did not find the event valuable enough to return for a second, third, fourth year, that is a major red flag for me. I also ask how they're advertising the event. Creating a Facebook event and expecting your vendors to do all the promotion for you is not a great way to promote an event. So are they doing newspaper ads, or are they doing radio? Are they posting on local community boards? What are they doing to help promote that event? I also want to verify how much space I'm going to have. Sometimes I only have a space that's 6 by 6, and that is way too small for my business. So that helps me plan how many clothing racks I'm going to bring and what display fixtures I'm going to bring. But most of the time I shoot for 10 by 10. That seems to be perfect for the amount of inventory I usually bring to an event. Also ask, is a table provided? If a table is provided, I normally tell them I don't need it because I bring my own kind of display things. So you want to kind of ask those questions if they're not already outlined in the contract, so that you know what you're getting into when you get there, and it can help you plan how to set up your space. And if you're asking these questions, and the vendor, the person planning the vendor event, is hesitant to answer your questions, doesn't fully answer them, if you get any sort of red flags, that's probably a good indicator that you just want to walk away from that event. There have been events where I had red flags before, I ignored them, and I wish I hadn't, because they weren't a well planned out event. And by the time you set up, tear down, spend your day at an event, and pay for the event, sometimes they're not a very worthwhile investment if the person planning the event is not taking that responsibility seriously, or just doesn't kind of know the ins and outs of planning an event like that. One thing I love at an event is something that draws people to it besides shopping. So look for those events too. Is an fundraiser for a really well-known cause in your area? Is there going to be food? That's another thing I ask. Is there something for kids to do? Is there other events going on nearby that are either going to compete or draw in people? So those are the kind of things you want to take into account when you're deciding whether or not to attend an event. When I'm preparing for the event, I will sit down and make a list of all the things I want to remember to pack, because I am very good at forgetting things. It's really embarrassing when you forget your shopping bags and you just hand somebody a stack of their clothes and your business cards and say, here, can you put this in your purse? I forgot to bring my shopping bags. So make a list, and things you want to have on there are a ton of business cards. Hand them out, make it rain. Business cards, they cost you pennies. And a little side tip I didn't plan on giving is, if you have a business card with your headshot on it, people will form an emotional attachment to that business card, and they're less likely to throw it away. So that's a little freebie for you. Make sure you have your card reader for taking credit card payments, and that you have cash with you to be able to make change. You don't want to count on the fact that the vendors around you might have change. And I normally only bring about $20 with me, 20, 30 maybe. I have ones and a couple of fives. That's really all I normally bring. You want to make sure you have your bags. You have extra hangers if you're a clothing vendor like me, because every time I do an event, just about, as I'm loading and unloading my van to set up for the event, I will break a hanger, and then that's a piece of clothing that I can't have on display. So bring extra hangers. I also, if I have enough room, will bring my bust form so I can put an outfit on display. I have a sidewalk chalk sign that I bring so I can put my specials, anything that I'm special that I'm doing that day, on my sign to draw people in. I have a changing room, and I have owned every single changing room that is on the market right now. I have had the pop-up tent. I hated it. It wasn't stable enough. It wasn't big enough, and they are a pain to get back in those round bags when you're done with your show. I have had the metal pop-up cabana ones, and they are heavy and cumbersome, and so I currently use one that I made myself with PVC pipe, and you can find tutorials on how to do that on Pinterest, but it has been my favorite. It's the easiest to pack, unpack, put together, and you get to pick your own curtains for it, so you can really personalize it and make it your own, and it is definitely worth the money. I have sold so much more because people were able to try it on and feel comfortable with their purchase. I also make sure to bring a mirror, and of course my clothing racks, because sometimes you forget. I have shown up to an event before and forgot the tops of my clothing racks. I just had the rack, but I didn't have the metal bar that goes across. So make sure you have all the pieces when you get to your event. And entry forms. So I have a little entry form where they can enter to win a free pair of leggings, and this is a great way to get contact information so you can follow up with potential hostesses, follow up about future orders with anyone who you meet at your event. Other things I do to prepare for my event are make a floor plan. So if I know I have a 6x6 space, what I normally bring I can't fit, so I know the measurement of my racks. and I know what are my key items that I want to bring. Skirts are usually my least popular item, so I don't bring skirts unless I have a monstrous amount of space. So you want to create your floor plan so that there aren't really any surprises when you get there as far as, well, this won't fit, or I could have brought more stuff. So make a floor plan and set up early. I have participated in several events that took place on a Friday where you could come in on Saturday and set up. And that is a huge benefit because I can come in sneakers and a pair of leggings and a hooded sweatshirt and my hair up in a mom bun and set up and not worry about getting sweaty or gross or whatever. And then I can come back the next day dressed for success. And so that would be my other tip for planning and preparing your event, is to, if you are a clothing vendor, put a lot of effort into your outfit. So I always pick to make sure I wear 2 to 3 pieces. I don't typically wear leggings unless I am wearing them under a dress, and then I pick items that I have in stock. And I try and also pick a high price point item. And it's really important to put a lot of intention behind your outfit, because I did an event where I wore a navy blue ruffle tunic with feathers on it, very beautiful, but I did not have any in stock and everybody wanted it. Now imagine if I had worn a tunic that I actually had in stock, how many of those I could have sold. So that was poor planning on my part. Dress for success. And if you are not a clothing vendor, that still applies to you. You represent your brand and you are your own representative. You are the face of your small business. So please, I'm begging you, do not show up in your grease-stained sweatpants. Please, it's just, it looks very unprofessional. So, you know, to each their own. We all have our own style, but just make sure your style projects an image of professionalism. Okay, so how to set up the event. When you walk into a major retail establishment, where is the clearance? It is in the way back. You have to pass all the high price items to get to that clearance rack. So I put my leggings, the lowest price point item, and usually the #1 thing people are looking for at vendor events, especially if they're not familiar with your brand yet. I put those in the back. So I always set up in a U shape, and the leggings are in the back wall. So I've got my racks, my leggings, and my racks, and then people enter through the front. So hopefully that made sense with me doing this. I do keep a bin of black leggings in the very front because it catches people's eye, because people are always looking for black, and not all the other brands have the privilege of being able to pick and choose their inventory. So I have a nice big bin of black leggings towards the front of my display to kind of catch people's eye and draw them in. I also bring my bust form and put an outfit on her that contains multiple items. So I might have a dress or a swing tunic with a duster over it. If I have a tunic, I might have a pair of leggings or jeggings draped over the shoulder to create a multiple piece outfit. I will accessorize it with jewelry, just something that I have in my personal collection and I grab and throw on my bust form. And if people aren't stopping like in their tracks to check out that outfit, I will change the outfit. Or if I do a multiple day event, I will change the outfit, because you might have repeat customers and you want to give them a new reason to stop in their tracks. I also make sure to have a kids item towards the very front of my display, because the moms are going to see that and they're going to stop and want to touch it, and the nieces. And I've done events on college campuses and I still have the kids stuff towards the very front, because even college girls who have no children and may not have plans to have any anytime soon are going to stop and be like, oh, look at that, that is so cute. And that is a way for you to introduce yourself and introduce your brand to these new people. How I organize my inventory on the racks is by category and then by size. So I will have a rack that is all my dresses, and then they're organized by size. If you are an Agnes and Dora rep, you know our Oakley doesn't really run true to size, so I actually keep those separate, but everything else is by size. So if somebody comes up to me and says, I'm looking for a dress for a wedding, and I can be like, oh great, what size do you wear? Okay, all my large dresses are on this rack and in this section, so you can try on any of these 20 dresses right here. And I have found this helps because if people aren't familiar with our styles, it makes it easier. They've got less sections to shop. And with us being a more of a boutique brand, getting new styles all the time, that really helps people get a feel for our brand and the different styles that we have. And if I only have 1 or 2 items left, it doesn't, in a particular style, it doesn't look pitiful hanging there by themselves. So I will have a rack of dresses, I will have a rack of tunics, I will have a rack of regular length tops, if I have space, a rack of skirts. I hang my jeggings and my embroidered leggings, and then I have my regular leggings in bins towards the back. And I try and keep it open and inviting, so that's why I do things in that U shape. And if it's a multiple day event, I will even, bring a rug with me and lay that down, especially if it's inside on like a cold floor. That helps just me too with my feet and my back and being on my feet all the time. And then I will decorate seasonally, so I might bring a little Christmas tree or a Santa Claus or hearts for Valentine's Day, just something to keep things a little bit upbeat. I will bring my cell phone with me and a Bluetooth wireless speaker and play music if it's a very quiet event and I want to keep things upbeat. That just helps make it fun. I will spritz a room spray in my space if I have to. Not a lot, because I don't want it to be like overpowering like Hollister and Abercrombie, but I do want it to smell nice in my space. Especially some of these the events that you do, you might end up in some odd locations that do have a funky smell. So I do that. And then as far as engaging people, first of all, I stand almost the entire event. So I will sometimes bring a chair with me, but not always. And I really only use it if it's a very, very dead event, or on the rare occasion that I am sick and still choose to show up to an event. I've had that happen before. Then maybe I will sit, and I keep my phone put away. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to walk up to a vendor's booth and they're on their phone. I've actually walked up to vendors before with the intention of purchasing a product, and they're on my phone. They didn't even realize I was there, so I walked away without purchasing. You look bored, you look disengaged, and especially if you have a product that's not very well known, you have to work even harder to draw people in, and this does not draw people in. So put away your phone. And then I follow the 5-10 rule. So anyone who is within 10 feet of me, I smile at them. Anyone who is within 5 feet of me, I say hello. I don't say, hello, come look at Agnes and Dora. I say, hey, how are you? And if they are friendly and engaging, then I will open the conversation to talk about the brand. I don't want to be like the pushy salespeople in the mall, like, would you like a new kitchen remodel, that like follow you around and will stalk you. Like, I don't want to be like that, but I want to be friendly and engaging. So find that middle ground. And then if you do engage the people, be prepared with a 30-second or less pitch on what makes Agnes and Dora so amazing. We call that your elevator speech. So if you only had an elevator ride to tell somebody what is amazing about Agnes and Dora or whatever product it is that you represent, you have to have that speech prepared. So I might say, I love Agnes and Dora because it is a boutique clothing brand and we get new styles and prints all the time. The great thing is, as a business owner, I get to select my prints. So I normally order a full size run so you don't fall in love with something and say, oh darn, I wish I still fit into an extra small, but I haven't since high school. I love the fact that our skirts and dresses have pockets. Feel how soft our material is, and I will grab something that's nearby and have them feel it. Or I might say, I love the fact that we carry a full range of sizes. I personally carry extra small through 3X. So find that quick little speech that you can give about why you love your brand. And mean it and be enthusiastic. And the last thing that I do to be engaging during the event is, again, networking with other vendors. I've said before that I show up early if I can, and even if I can't, if they give me 3 hours to set up and I only need 2, I'll show up 2.5 hours early, and I'll use that extra half hour to network with other vendors. So I will go around and hand out business cards, and I may offer a discount to those people too, because it's going to be pretty awesome when all those vendors at their next event are wearing my brand because they're helping promote Agnes and Dora for me. So I go around, give them a business card and maybe a little special discount slip, or I write something on my business card, 10% off your order, leggings 2 for $40, whatever it is that you want to offer to those vendors. And I also like to shop, so that gives me a chance to look around and see what I might want to buy. I have a stockpile of homemade soap because I love to go to vendor events and buy handcrafted soap. And lastly, what do I do after the vendor event? So I mentioned before that I always have drawing slips with me, and what I do is within 24 to 48 hours, I follow up with the people who entered into my free leggings raffle. You want to do it quick enough that they don't forget who you are. So most events that I do are Saturday, Sunday, so I will usually follow up Monday, Tuesday. And so I send an email to everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by my pop-up boutique. It was wonderful meeting you. I love getting out of the house and meeting new people. That's my me time. If you'd like to stay in touch, please join my Facebook group where I post all my new inventory first. I'll also be posting the winner of my free leggings raffle in my group. And then do it. Post the winner of your free leggings raffle in your group. That's a new tip that I just learned, and I think it's pretty awesome. Then I will call anyone who said they were interested in hosting a party so that we can connect about that party, about scheduling that party. Then I will also go to the Facebook event created by the event organizer, and again post a thank you message in there. Thank you so much for stopping by my pop-up boutique this weekend. If you'd like to stay in touch, here's a link to my Facebook group. Thank you so much, Becky, for organizing such an amazing event. I really enjoyed myself. And I will include a picture too, so they kind of like, who was that vendor? Like, I don't recognize her name, but oh, she was with Agnes and Dora. I really, really love that. And last thing that I will do is follow up with the event organizer, and if I had a great experience, I will thank them for planning an amazing event. Sorry about my dog barking in the background. So I will thank them for planning an amazing event, and let them know that I definitely want to participate again the next year if they are holding the event again. I want to be on their radar, and most vendor events offer their spots to people who participated in the year before. So if I have an event that I loved, I'm sitting down now this year, it's January, and planning out my 2018 by selecting those events that I definitely want to participate in again next year because I had a great experience. So hopefully these tips are helpful to you. I wish you all the best in all your vendor event ventures, and don't get frustrated if you have an event that feels like a flop. Some of my best events have come from events that were total flops. Now, I probably won't participate in those events again in the future, but I'm still seeing residual income from those events because of the person who I met at that event who continues to shop with me. And my links are down in the description of this video, so if you are coming across this video because you're interested in Agnes and Dora to shop, be sure to check out my website where I have my inventory posted 24/7, or join my Facebook group if you want to be a part of our Facebook community. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me talk about vendor events. It is a huge passion of mine in this business, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions about vendor events. Thank you so much, and have a great day.